Now, I know this is not going to be a popular video with a lot of you, but I'm going to start it off with probably the most unpopular thing that I could say, but I want to make this prediction in the interest of cutting through all the bullshit. This is my personal opinion. I'm going to be truthful with you guys because I value that honesty within the audience, and I think that the community could definitely benefit. First prediction, I think XRP is going to overtake Bitcoin. Whether it happens in 2019 or 2020, the sad truth of it is that the establishment has made themselves perfectly clear, and I would say that we're going to be seeing a lot more of things like Stellar and XRP, and whether or not you agree with that being in keeping with that sort of Satoshi Nakamoto philosophy, or whether you don't care, whether you're an XRP holder and you just want to see it take that #1 position because you're waiting for the bull run, that's just what I'm going to say. But also, before you go and take to your keyboards and try and criticize me or whatever, say I'm wrong, I think that Bitcoin has a huge future for it as well. I don't think that we're going to see Bitcoin going away anytime soon. I think Bitcoin and these John McAfee sort of predictions also sort of have their weight, and this video is going to be very interesting. I think it's a long time overdue. A lot of people have been asking me to talk about what are my predictions for the future of cryptocurrency and what could we expect to see in 2019 in particular. So just strap in and get ready, because this is going to be sort of an uncomfortable video. I mean, but I think that it's one that needs to be made, in particular when we see the market cap where it is, 108, and essentially at the time of making this video, and red all the way across the board, and it seems as if there's no end in sight to this sort of volatility. But all these topics and more are coming up. Now, I know on this channel we always talk about how Facebook's a dying company, but still, it's always, you really can't ignore the fact that a lot of people still use Facebook, and the moves that Facebook makes are a key indication of what the establishment plans to do moving forward. So when I see different articles like this, Facebook will plan most used product in crypto, that's definitely an interesting indication of what I'm going to term as my next prediction, which is essentially more establishment usage of cryptocurrency, because it's something that we talk about on this channel, and people who are familiar with the content that we make on here, well, you'll definitely understand that it really goes without saying the fact that a lot of these different centralized storages of data that really Facebook and Twitter are guilty of are essentially going to give way to the decentralized future that is basically represented by what cryptocurrency brings to the table. In particular, it's going to be blockchain. So it's definitely interesting. We look at cryptocurrency crash all the way across all these different news, and that's another thing that you could definitely expect to see more of, is mainstream media fear, uncertainty, and doubt all the way across the board. And I think that it's interesting to see how the narrative has shifted from what we were seeing last year in terms of the hodl mentality, as opposed to the way that people think about cryptocurrency now, which I don't think they're thinking about hodling as much as they were, but they should, because from my perspective, I always think, I always go by at least the fact that you only lose when you sell, and the fact of the matter is that if you've been in cryptocurrency long enough, you've had enough time to make your gains and take some losses. And it's essentially just sad to see all these people who are just now getting involved with cryptocurrency getting completely blasted, and it's kind of disappointing to see the fact that there's so many people who are leaving cryptocurrency, and it just goes to show you how many people fail to actually look in depth and see beyond just price. I think price is definitely distracting to a large extent, but I think that that's something that's a critical downfall for a lot of people, is that they get distracted by price, and they fail to realize that there's a lot of very exciting things happening behind the scenes in terms of technology. And in particular, cryptos that I'm very much paying attention to are going to be along the lines of XRP, Stellar. I'm definitely interested in seeing what Cardano is going to be doing, in particular after 2019. I think Cardano is going to be really flexing its muscles. Privacy technologies are definitely in the running to take a big piece of the pie. IOTA and all these different technology. And of course, we've been seeing the rise of a lot of these different, like True USD, and a lot of these different technologies that posit to essentially, because it is difficult to maintain, but and of course Tether, which is shit, by the way, but it is going to be interesting. So I think this video is long overdue. One thing that I think has been mentioned by just about every single YouTuber out there who's made a prediction about what we can expect to see around 2019, 2020 is the possibility that decentralized exchanges are going to essentially overtake the centralized exchanges, which I think could be one of the best things that could possibly happen. And it's a clear present indication that decentralized exchanges are not going anywhere. But I would say, no, it's certainly a valid prediction to point out the fact that the decentralized exchanges are not going anywhere but up in terms of where things are. If in my analysis of current trends is worth anything, I would put as much weight behind that statement as I can. Decentralized exchanges, it just makes sense in terms of a decentralized space. We'd want we wouldn't want all the different problems that are tied into the centralized aspects of these things. And I think Tron is aware of this. I think that a lot of cryptocurrencies that are aware of this are going to be the ones that are able to survive the onslaught of what's inevitably going to come. To give you guys an idea of the unpredictability that we can expect to see in this next year, I always just like to think about it. What were people in December 6th of 2017 actually thinking of themselves when Bitcoin was just starting up its monumental bull run, which brought us to see the Bitcoin all-time highs, the $20,000. The rest is history. And even today, we start to see, essentially, I'm sure that there's people out there who are thinking that this is the complete end of cryptocurrency just because we lost a couple of billion. But I love it when people are optimistic about this sort of thing, saying stuff like, oh, what's a couple billion off the market cap among friends? And I think that this is definitely the right mentality to have, because the fact of the matter is that kingdoms rise and fall every single day, especially in the world of cryptocurrency. Nothing less can be expected, and especially in a space that's going to be such a positive of a paradigm shift as cryptocurrency represents. And of course, without any further ado, my predictions are we'll definitely see more of XRP. I don't think XRP is going anywhere. Stellar certainly is on my list. Ethereum, of course, and Bitcoin's not going anywhere either. I'm interested in seeing what Tron is going to do. Litecoin as well. Cardano is certainly on my list for seeing the technologies. I also want to give Digibyte a shout out, because I think that Digibyte and all these various different cryptos that I've mentioned as of so far, and if your favorite crypto is not mentioned in this list, I will be making a video regarding a whole other bunch of cryptos at the same time, but these are ones that I can say I'm definitely excited to see what's going to take off in the future. And of course, Steam, these decentralized alternatives for social media, and I think that Tron certainly represents a key player in this category. Definitely some interesting things. If you look at the trends of the things that have been developing, in particular with the decline of the old social media paradigm, and of course like Twitter and all these problems with the centralized storage of data, and Electronium definitely is, but they all sort of represent key changes, fundamentally, that are underlying and connected in the bones of where these things are going to be headed in the future. One thing's for sure, and that's the fact that 2019 is definitely going to be a huge defining year as far as cryptocurrency is concerned, and this is going to affect a wide range of definitely the public consciousness regarding these technologies, but also the ways that these cryptos are acting in and of themselves. And in short, I would basically give my summation. Essentially, when we talk about the cryptos that are going to survive 2019, those are going to be the technologies that are here for the long game. I think things are going to get pretty rocky ahead. Certainly going to see a lot of similar turmoil. If you're used to at all the current market, I'm sure that it's really nothing new. Essentially more of the same And I think that this is all sort of a dizzying effort to shake off the weak hands and the bad actors. And certainly I think that looking back on what we saw happen in 2018, it's much the same as how a forest needs the occasional forest fire in order for the new seeds and the new forest to grow. And I think that that's essentially a good metaphor for what we're seeing happening in the cryptocurrency space as of currently. And I would definitely say that the year of 2019 is definitely going to be rocky, definitely a very rocky road. In particular, when we talk about the fact that 2020 is what all these cryptos are essentially competing to get to. When we look at the roadmaps of a lot of these different technologies and we take into consideration the different variables that are going to be coming together, 2020 is essentially going to be the blast off year. And whether or not we see the market cap dropping down below 100 even before 2019 starts, I'm certainly excited to see the fact that cryptocurrency is still in its infancy stages. I mean, well into the future, we could definitely expect to see the $1 trillion market cap. Of course, if cryptocurrency is allowed to move along its own logical progressions. Now, certainly there are plenty of things that could get in the way of this. That's not a 100, there's no definites. But the fact of the matter is that anybody who's paying attention knows how much of a game changer blockchain is going to be in the long run, as far as how these technologies are going to develop. Is sort of I mean, when anything other than the technology is ultimately secondary as far as what I'm concerned. I mean, whether or not it's going to be XRP at the top or whether or not we're going to see Bitcoin at the top, it's certainly anybody's game to look at the various different trends that have been developing. But I think that it is definitely something to point out, the fact that XRP does certainly, and of course Stellar, XLM, definitely waiting in the rafters. Essentially, while we're seeing the Bitcoin reputation that was really blown up beyond proportion last year in 2017, I think that there was almost an unfair expectation for the overall cryptocurrency space that might overall be damaging to the reputations and the dominance, Bitcoin dominance aside, being where it is today at 55%, but another thing that people don't really pay attention to, or I actually don't see people mentioning in different videos, is the fact that the Bitcoin dominance tends to go up when we're seeing the purge of all these different altcoins. So although Bitcoin might not appear to be getting hit the hardest, the fact of the matter is there's plenty of things happening behind the scenes involving the trust that is essentially garnered by these different things. But I think if I were to make one solid prediction, it would be that the age of XRP is going to be definitely some huge contender in the world of cryptocurrency as things move forward. Whether or not that includes seeing XRP as the #1 crypto when things continue to move forward, I mean, that's anybody's guess. I'm not going to be the one to give you that prediction, but as far as seeing these different technologies and the developments, the fact of the matter is that I find it as a key indication of what's going to come in the future when I look at essentially what are these technologies doing that separates them from the curve. If the crypto is not going to be actually having a applicable application to day-to-day common use, or if it doesn't employ blockchain, I'm sorry, but cryptocurrencies without blockchain probably will not survive 2019. And I think we'll probably see a lot of people whose favorite cryptocurrencies will get completely wiped off the map in 2019, much the same way we saw plenty of technologies getting wiped off the map in 2018. Now, when we talk about 2020, I think that it will see a lot more stability in the space, which it will be good to a certain extent. But then again, there's people who've been trading on the volatility, and I think that to a certain extent, I think people are going to miss the volatility aspect of cryptocurrency, because there's definitely people out there even today who are making money on the volatility, and there's people who short the market and all these different things. But the fact of the matter is crypto continues to there's more money pumped into the market cap, all these different things. The fact of the matter is the market will naturally mature, and a lot of these different regulations will be able to be implemented, and essentially, while we see all these different things happening, which are very exciting along that regard, it also is something to be said, because cryptocurrency in and of its current situation, as things have been looking, it's certainly a black sheep sort of scenario when we want to look at the fact that these cryptocurrencies are take Cardano for instance, and the fact that they're essentially learning from the mistakes that are being made from a lot of these other technologies, which has essentially gotten us to the predicament that we're in right now. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure that you guys comment down below and let us know what you think. Then also make sure that you subscribe. And yeah, all that being said, you guys can also connect with us on Twitter. That's at CryptoTuber. And yeah, make sure that you guys remember, I'm not your dad. This video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. I hope you guys have enjoyed this and found it educationally beneficial. And yeah, all that being said, stay relevant, everybody. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.